McClennan County, 90 miles south of Dallas and 100 miles north of Austin, is a hub of culture and education, harboring the renowned Baylor University and locations such as the Dr. Pepper Museum and the Alico Building. The county center lies 3 miles west of Waco, which acts as the county seat.
McClennan County's history is rich, and the landmarks are vital. But with an area teeming with so much, what truly are the most legacy-filled locations? What stands out above the rest?
One of the oldest and most essential pieces of McClennan.
We are not going to be in period get up. What he was saying was one of the oldest and most essential pieces of McClennan County history is the Waco Suspension Bridge. Opened in 1870, it connects the Brazos River.
Constructing the bridge was no easy task at the time, considering Waco's rather remote location. The nearest railroad was over 100 miles away, and the closest town with the skills needed was Galveston, over 200 miles from the build site. So, supplies were loaded onto a steamer in Galveston and ferried to Bryan. From there, they were loaded onto wagons pulled by oxen.
The bridge, however, put Waco on the map and allowed it to become commercially aware. While it is not in use currently, it is still open to foot traffic, festivals, and 4th of July celebrations.
By 1971, the bridge had seen over 100 years of traffic. What started out as a cattle transport had become a vehicular bridge, and the State Historical Committee decided that it was time to be retired, as safer and more efficient bridge techniques arose. Few city parks in the entire state of Texas can compete with the size and beauty of McClennan County's Cameron Park. A result of a rising progressive movement that called for more parks and green spaces in the early 20th century, Cameron Park was dedicated in 1910 in memory of Waco philanthropist and lumber baron William Cameron. The park's confirmation featured a huge ceremony headed by then Baylor University president Samuel Palmer Brooks. Cameron Park features astronomical miles of trails, 2 rivers, breathtaking cliffs, and massive trees. It currently stands as the second biggest inner-city park in all of America.
The park was a hub for Wacoans for decades, but unfortunately saw a drop in attendance and a rise in crime during the 70s and 80s. However, in the 90s, a resurgence of security and a massive donation of $100,000 by then Congressman W.R. Pogue revitalized the park and had an entire wildlife preservation in honor of his dead mother. The park celebrated its 100-year anniversary in 2010. It remains to be an integral part of McClennan County's history and will continue to demonstrate its beauty for centuries to come.
This beautiful piece of McClennan County architecture has been functioning for over 100 years. Designed by James Riley Gordon, the renowned architect responsible for the Ellis County Courthouse in Waxahachie and the Arizona State Capitol building, the McClennan County Courthouse has a neoclassical exterior. On top of the central dome stands Themis, the Greek goddess of divine law and order. In her right hand, Themis holds a double-edged sword that represents the law as the chief instrument of justice. Her left hand holds aloft a pair of scales intended to symbolize the weighing of facts and the balance by the courts.
This courthouse has housed many memorable legal cases. Clyde Barrow of the infamous duo Bonnie and Clyde stood trial right here in 1930 for numerous charges of theft and burglary.
Furthermore, the first live televised murder trial took place in the building in December of 1955, when Judge D.W. Bartlett allowed local station KWTX-TV to film the proceedings of the Harry L. Washburn trial in the 54th State District Court.
It is unlikely that the courthouse will discontinue being the Chief Justice and Civil Center of McClennan County anytime soon. Just a few miles outside of Waco,
This infamous piece of McClennan County history was the site of the famed Mount Carmel, home of the religious group the Branch Davidians. But before David Koresh, the leader of this cult, and the siege itself ever came to be, Mount Carmel still existed as a hub for religious gatherings. Built in 1957 by key members of the Davidian family, the compound functioned for decades as the meeting ground for members from all types of sects. After a disagreement among attendees caused land to be lost and traditions to be forgotten, rise for a new leader became much easier. This leader was David Koresh, who revitalized the area, bringing in members from all over the world. Following a few serious altercations with other leaders, the self-proclaimed Koreshians took over the entire compound. Within a few years, however, the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms, as well as the Texas National Guard, took notice of the massive amounts of weapons and also apparently received reports of sexual harassment within the compound. Thus begins the Waco Siege, a national controversy even to this day. Having suspected the group of stockpiling illegal weapons, the ATF obtained a search warrant for the compound and arrest warrants for Koresh and a select few of the group's members. The incident began when the ATF attempted to raid the ranch. An intense gun battle erupted, resulting in the deaths of 4 government agents and 6 Branch Davidians. Upon the ATF's failure to raid the compound, the siege lasted 51 days and was infiltrated by the Federal Bureau of Investigation. Eventually, the FBI launched an assault and initiated a tear gas attack in an attempt to force the Branch Davidians out of the ranch. During the attack, however, a fire engulfed the entire Mount Carmel Center. In total, 76 people died, including David Koresh.
The event was televised and put Waco on the map even more, albeit not in the most positive light. Still, it is an important part of McClennan County's history, and much was learned from the incident. Arguably no other theater in McClennan County garners the same entertainment value and cultural power as Waco's famed Hippodrome.
So the Hippodrome was built in 1914 as a vaudeville theater. So kind of what would equate today as kind of like a live theater, kind of talent showy, variety kind of show theater. And throughout the years, it went through, it did silent movies at one point. It was regular movies for a little while. It's been always used for the arts and entertainment.
Yeah.
So it has survived a fire in 1928, the 1953 tornado, and there was just, I would say, hard economic times. We bought it from the McClennan County, or the Waco Performing Arts. Waco Performing Arts. And so we bought it from them, and it was just kind of in disrepair. They hadn't had the AC on for about 7 years, and it kind of had sat empty for a while. So when we got it, the walls were literally, coming down just because the humidity and stuff. So we bought it in 2012, and me, my husband, and my brother-in-law, and we did a 2-year renovation on it. Basically, right now, what it is kind of like an Alamo Draft House where you can come in and watch a new or old movie and be waited on by a theater server, and you can drink, eat, whatever, have dessert.
What's more common, newer movies or older movies?
It just depends on the time of year. So right now we're in blockbuster season. So a lot of movies come out in the summertime. So right now it's all new movies.
Yeah.
But then we'll have a lull, in the fall, because that's when people go back to school.
Yeah.
And in January, February, sometimes there's a lull too. So we'll do, maybe we'll do a Alfred Hitchcock series. Every night we'll do a Hitchcock movie, or we've done Quentin Tarantino, John Hughes. So just, on those types of times where we don't have a lot of programming, then we can do the old movies and stuff. We did do Classic Movie Wednesdays for a while. We do Independent Movie Mondays with Baylor. So we have, it's more than just new and old films. It's also independent films, foreign films, all of that. So, and now we're doing an expansion. We're about 10,000 square feet right now. We're adding on another 20,000 square feet. Yeah, so the room we're in right now is the bar. This is part of the old building. But what we're adding on is, the dining room is going to be downstairs. It's a diner kind of style. There's a pet-friendly patio on the first floor. This all up here is going to be an event venue. We have a rooftop bar with a stage on it. And then we added 3 new theaters, and they have recliners and push-button service, and and they're much smaller. Right now, our theaters hold 206 in the orchestra and 138 in the balcony. So that's really too many people to have watching a movie at once and eating. So these theaters hold between 50 and